Hey everybody. Super early morning review, I guess. Number 28 in the Criterion Collection, Blood for Dracula, directed again by Paul Morrissey, again from the United States. The following year, 1974, shooting for this film began the day after the shooting for Flesh for Frankenstein was wrapped. It involves many of the same actors, so the actors were basically told on the last day of filming for Flesh for Frankenstein, cut your hair, we're going again. This movie's also not good. The performances are equally as bad, although there's a cameo by Roman Polanski, if that's your thing. The plot in this one, Dracula, who can walk in daylight and touch crucifixes with no problems, and has no supernatural abilities. He doesn't like garlic, and he doesn't show up in mirrors. That's it. I mean, part of this movie, he's wheeled around in a wheelchair. Dracula is dying because he needs the blood of a virgin to survive, and there are no more virgins left in Romania, essentially. So his servant convinces him to go to Italy to find virgins because Italians are very religious, so there's going to be virgins in Italy. He also has a weird relationship with his sister. I'm not sure if they're together, like in Flesh for Frankenstein, but it's a little weird to see it 2 movies in a row by the same director. I wonder if anybody asked Paul Morrissey's sister if he was a weirdo. This movie almost plays like a comedy, except they forgot to make it funny. Because Dracula and his servant end up staying with a high-born but down on their luck family in Italy who want to marry off one of their two daughters of marriageable age. One is 14 and she's not considered of marriageable age. So they want to marry off one of their 2 daughters to Dracula because they don't know he's a vampire. They've never heard of Dracula. He's a count, and that's what matters. Except neither daughter is a virgin, even though they both claim to be, so Dracula gets very sick when he drinks from them. And then the house servant, who is the reason neither of them are virgins, twigs to the fact that, oh, he's a vampire, and chases him down with an axe and cuts his limbs off one by one before staking him through the heart. It is almost like Monty Python, cutting off the limbs of the Black Knight, except not funny. It's not a good movie. It's really not, and it's very strange. I don't. It's hard to have a lot to say about the film. I could almost do a WTF cinema of it because there's he travels with his coffin because he insists that he needs his coffin to travel. At no point do we ever see him sleeping in his coffin, and the only thing his coffin does is raise the suspicion of the servant because they're like, yeah, we got this coffin. He's taking the remains of a family member home. And later the guy opens the coffin, and of course there's nobody in it because Dracula's been sleeping in a bed upstairs. And so he's like, oh, vampire. Mostly the same actors, mostly the same terrible acting. Visually, it still looks good. The cinematography is good. The set design is good. The costumes are good. The dialogue and acting is not great. And the story's a little silly. I mean, honestly, it's just, we're out of virgins in Romania. Let's go to Italy where they have virgins. Especially when, at one point, we are told a 12-year-old girl got hit by a car. And so the servant soaked up some of her blood from the accident into a loaf of bread, which Dracula eats, and it helps him because she was 12 years old and a virgin, which raises the question of, why aren't they just abducting children? If you need the blood of a virgin, why aren't they just abducting children? I have never seen a weaker, more ineffectual Dracula. I don't know why his servant is helping him so much, because Dracula can't be doing anything for the servant except letting him live in the house. Anyway, we are done with the Paul Morrissey. He did not go on to do Bandages for the Invisible Man or seaweed for the creature from the Black Lagoon. These are the two. And we are done with them. Although, interestingly, the next movie is 1975, so we are just ticking up by one more year. The next movie, number 29, will be Picnic at Hanging Rock by Peter Weir from Australia, 1975. I know nothing about this film. Not a hint. Not a clue. So, we'll find out together, huh? Anyway, thanks for watching. I'm glad we got through these two because they are not my cup of tea. Now, maybe if you really like camp, but not good camp, I guess, these might be up your alley. Like, I can understand where there would be people that would dig these. I'm just not one of them. Anyway, on to the next.